Overcoming your pornography addiction is going to require an insane amount of sacrifice. And sometimes I think what holds men back more than anything is they try to go into this journey. They try to overcome this battle with the goal, with the thought process that on the other side of their addiction, that when they are walking in freedom, that they will not have to give up things that they currently have. See, what we must realize, men, is that in order to accomplish and create a life that we don't currently live, we have to be willing to give up parts of our current life. And without this sacrifice, you will continue to struggle. You will find yourself falling back into the same old patterns of behavior. There's a lot of different language that we use to describe and define this. We talk about a spiritual transformation, a death of the old self, a creation of this new man. All of this language, all of these words are pointing back to one thing, that your freedom from your pornography addiction is sitting on the other side of the sacrifices that you are or are not willing to make. And the choice is ultimately going to be yours. Am I willing to give up the things that I want the most right now to have the thing that I say I want most in the future? Am I willing to give up the things that I say I want now, the things that I know I want now, to have the thing that I say I want in the future? And every single one of us is going to have to sacrifice different parts of our life. Every single one of us, as we navigate and go through this journey, we'll have to wake up, realize, and get clear on the things that are holding us back. But without an extreme level of sacrifice, without a death of the old self and a creation of this new man, we will never truly be able to walk in the freedom that we deserve. I want you to stop right now, and I want you to think about the things that you've accomplished in your life. The things that felt difficult, the things that meant something to you, the things that brought fulfillment, joy into your life. Was it a graduation? Was it a hard-earned degree? Was it the launching of a new business? Was it breaking into a new financial bracket? Was it a radical physical transformation? Was it the saving of a marriage? Was it the creation of a marriage? Whatever it is, if you're listening and watching this right now, there are things that you've accomplished that took work, that took effort, but more importantly, took sacrifice. You see, we can understand this thing when we're chasing money, when we're chasing career, when we're chasing a degree, when we're chasing a doctorate. We understand that we have to give up time. We have to sacrifice certain relationships. We have to sacrifice social events while going through college or university. We have to sacrifice certain foods in order to step on stage as a bodybuilder. So we can understand this concept and principle when it applies to what we perceive as success in this world. We'll sacrifice living under our means right now to save up and build financial freedom so that in the future, we can have the house, the dreams, the cars, the vacations that we want. That same level of sacrifice, though, must be applied to this area of our life. And it's been that thought process, it's been that perspective that I've tried to bring to the addiction recovery space. To look at it through a growth-centric lens, a lens of development, a lens of self-growth, of self-discipline, that we can apply all the same logic and concept and principles that work to help people accomplish their dreams and apply it to accomplish overcoming a pornography addiction. I was on a call the other day with a member inside of one of our coaching programs, and he's coming up in the final weeks of our 12-week program. And he's had a lot of success. This is somebody that's been involved in our communities for well over a year, but just shy of 3 months ago, he had a realization that he was half committed to this process. So he went from a lower tiered program into our highest tier one-on-one VIP coaching program. And now in a matter of 10 weeks, he made more success in his journey than he did in the previous 10 months. And as we were conversing and coming towards the end of our call, he said, Frank, I love where I'm at right now, but I don't feel like I'm truly a rebuilt man. And what I had to remind him of is that the journey to freedom is not an end destination. It is a continuous pursuit that we must be on every single day for the rest of our lives. And I also needed to remind him that freedom will not look like the old version of himself minus pornography. But his real walk into freedom will be an addition and creation of a new man. There will have to be parts of that old life that he gives up forever. Are you willing to give up a part of yourself forever to become the man that you know you want to be? If the answer to that question is no, if you are not willing to give up a version of yourself right now, if you are not willing to give up a part of your life other than pornography, then brother, I'm going to tell you, you're going to have a hard time overcoming this addiction. Because freedom from pornography is not your current self minus pornography. Freedom from pornography is the creation and development of a new man, a new identity, one that has given up parts of his old self, but more importantly, one that has created his life that he wants. I can remember prior to 2019, for 15 years leading up to that, my life revolved around work, training, bodybuilding, eating, and sports. I was an ESPN addict. 24 hours a day around the clock. I remember dating a woman. She was at my house late one night and we had watched a baseball game, and then I immediately switched over to putting ESPN Sports Center on. We sat there for like 3 hours after the game was over, and the same show cycled over 3 times. Remember the old ESPN highlight shows, the Stuart Scotts, the Scott Van Pelts? Some of the older generation may remember those guys. But those were my guys. And I can remember her looking at me and saying, Frank, we've watched this show now 3 times. It's the same highlights. It's the same games. What are you doing? And then all of a sudden in 2019, as I was walking in the first year of my freedom, my need to be up to date on sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week went away. I wasn't even conscious at the time. But now I look back 5 years later, and when I'm with people and sports are on, I begin to ask the question, how did I even stay up to date on everything? I don't have the mental bandwidth in my life right now by running multiple companies, by hosting multiple podcasts, by being involved in community, by being focused on relationships, by being focused on my health and my growth. I don't have the time and bandwidth right now to know what's going on in sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I've shared that with many of the students in our program when they ask me the question, do I need to give up video games? Do I need to give up partying? Do I need to give up drinking? Do I need to give up fantasy sports? If you're asking that question right now, the answer is probably yes. And you've probably known that answer for a really long time. And it's probably the fact that you've avoided giving it up because it's comfort and it's easy and it's familiar. You know, it's not familiar to you right now, walking in freedom. And if you want to make that the familiar part of your life, the things that are currently familiar to you must go away. You must enter into new territory. You must walk through a season of darkness in order to create the light that you ultimately deserve. So your freedom from this addiction, your ability to overcome this sin in your life, is sitting on the other side of the sacrifices that you are not willing to make right now. And you must ask your question, what do I want more? Do I want the comfort and security and familiarity with the things that I know? Or do I want the freedom, the joy, and the peace that comes with removing pornography out of my life? When you answer that question, we're here to help. And if you want a proven strategy, a framework that has helped thousands of men take back control, conquer this addiction, and become the men that they were all called and created to be. You can visit rebuiltrecovery.com/12 steps. I put together a free 12-step training outlining our entire framework that we're giving away for free. Rebuiltrecovery.com/12 steps. The link is down there in the show notes below, but we'll walk you through everything you need to do to identify those sacrifices, to build a life that you ultimately deserve, and become the man that can walk in freedom. God bless you guys. Make sure to subscribe, rate, review this video. But Coach Frank of the Rebuild Man, we love you. We'll see you in the next one.